Right, I made some bushings up to take a shock absorber. Now, this ain't a show car, so I'm not worried about the welds all looking pretty. It's just a functionality. The first bush, it's all made out of an old drive shaft actually. First bush is just 3/8 bush, 45mm long, for the shock absorber mount. The second bush fits inside, which is threaded, fits inside one of these. These are available off of Amazon and eBay. They're just shock absorber mounts, weld-on shock absorber mounts. So I make up a 3/8 bush to go in there, and then when I've got the angle right for the bump stop, when I know what angle it is, I've welded it to the other bush so it's solid. A lot of people thought these were forged or something. They're not. I mean, if you know how to release a tapered joint, you hit it with a hammer on this side here. If it was forged, it would just shatter. No, you can give these some fair clog. They're quite soft. I've even known them to be bent in an accident back in the day. Somebody's curbed it or something like that hard in an accident, or hit something because they've actually bent. But yeah, standard arm. You have to work out the mount needs to be parallel with that. I just scalloped mine a little bit and then welded it on. So, really deep penetration with the MIG. It's not a problem. It ain't coming off. So that's the bottom arm basically. So it's got one of these cheap things welded on there. Then we got what we're coming off the bottom arm is what I bought was I bought a kit like this. It's a mini high-low kit. All you got to do is look for classic mini high-low kit, and you get these nice cups, 2 extra long tubes, all for a high-low, for a mini. Now these are designed to take the cone rubber suspension that sits on there, and then that sits on the end of the ball joint, on the swivel joint, like that, in a mini. That's how it would go. I'm doing air on this one, but if you can buy coil kits for minis now, and you can use the high-low. The coil will actually sit in this recess, and then all you'd have to do is make a plate for the top to stop the coil from moving about, and you've got coil suspension, you know, that in there, coil coming off of it, sitting into a top. It's that simple. It really is stupid simple. And look all the coil over, adjustable, blah blah blah. It's all in that anyway. Only about 60 quid for a whole set. So that's what I bought. What I've done is I've turned this down. It can be ground down, doesn't have to be turned. I've turned it on my lathe just to make it look neat, because I want a flat surface for the airbag to mount on. Then I've taken the big bolt, the big adjustable bolt, because I won't actually need adjustment because it's air, so it's infinitely adjustable. I can't believe how long it is, isn't it? It's actually a circlip on the other end to stop that from coming unscrewed. So, taking the bolt, chopped it down shorter, and then welded a cap head set screw in the end, 3/8 UNC, because that's what the airbag does. If you don't know what I mean by a set screw, all you can see is that's a set screw and that's a bolt. when you're putting things together, you generally use a bolt, because this shank here is what locates the item, and that's just to do it up with. Set screw is threaded all the way up, so I've taken a 3/8 UNC set screw like that, cap head, taken the head down a bit, set it inside there. So when I cut that off, it's that size at the other end, so I've set it inside there. If you see, it virtually fits anyway, but just needed to come a little bit off the head and set inside that end and welded it. So that's my that locates my airbag. That now just screws in there. Obviously I'll do that up tight, but just for purposes I'll show you. Right, so it's sitting proud like that. Then I got these. They're basic, real basic airbags. I mean, they're on eBay, they're on Amazon, they're like 50 quid a pair. They'll go right up to, I don't know what the rating on them is, but I like them because they're dual airbags. So you run them at slightly lower pressure. They've got quite good compliance to them. You don't get a fitting. They're MPT fittings because they're American. That's why everything's UNC, you know what I mean? So 3/8 UNC at the top, 2, and a 3/8 UNC at the bottom. So that simply screws on there, like that. And that will sit on there like that. Can you imagine this up in there? And originally what I did, just to test it all, was I made this plate which goes over the top like that, which sat up inside there. Now I've got a big lump of Delrin. Delrin's like an acetal. It's nice, I like it because it's machinable. You don't have to machine it. You can cut it with a jigsaw. You can cut a circle with a jigsaw. You need a circle with a couple of flats on it, because that is not circular inside there. It is best part, but it has 2 flats. I'm running 8mm tube. I don't know whether you should run 8mm tube. I don't know anything about this sort of thing. I'm just making it up as I go along. Life's not complicated. You just try it. If it doesn't work out, you try something else. I'm going to put one of them in. There you go. That mounts it to that, and then that sits up inside housing. Those holes there, these 2 studs that I put in, go through the holes in the top of the subframe tube, and that's the setup. It's that simple. Now, say if you wanted coils, you're going for coils instead. I'll take this off again and I'll show you how easy it is. So you'd leave that on, because then the coil spring will sit on there. And what you do is you make something like this, but then you get another piece of Delrin, maybe a thinner piece, maybe only 10mm, and you cut it so it's the same size on the outside, but this will all be solid then, a smaller circle on the inner side, which would stop. It's like the opposite of that, beyond that size. So it'd be that size in there to stop the coil from moving about, just to centralise it in there. And that's how hard it would be to change it to coils. You know, come on, it's not hard. I've gone for air. I just fancied doing air, to be honest. And I like it when it goes down. It looks sick when it's on the ground. But so the only problem with 1100 is it don't have no shockers. So that's why I've put the shock absorber mount on there. I bought a standard mini shock absorber, front shock absorber kit. You get the base plates, you get bolts, you get screws, you get the long bolts, you get spacers, you get all sorts of stuff in the kit. That would bolt onto you in the wing. Just literally bolt on. It's nice and thick. You could put a reinforcing plate the other side. And I used standard mini shock absorbers because you can upgrade them to adjustable at a later date. To get it going, you use standard ones, get it set up. So it doesn't matter if you bugger them up, they're only cheap. Get a mini front shock absorber kit, mounting kit. So you get all the bolts and everything with it. You get a set of high-lows, that'll do your front and back. And then you decide what you're going to do with it. People keep asking, what about the rear? What about the rear? I haven't used a rear subframe since 1979, so I haven't got a rear subframe, so there's no point in me showing you what I've got because it's irrelevant. But the 1100 is, it just sits that way in the subframe. You know, it's actually easier to fit it in the rear subframe because it hasn't got the big cowl around the top. It's fairly open, but you just run it like that. If you can't get enough adjustment out of it, you've got these marvellous tubes in the kit to extend them. Why? I said it's really easy. So coil springs, use that as it is. You can use a good base plate like that, but then get a secondary one that's smaller, unless you get, because buying really thick acetal like this is bloody expensive. You know, you're better off buying 2 pieces of this and putting an inner mounting one on top. You can drill and tap this stuff. It's brilliant. So you could drill it, tap it, put one with a smaller inner centre on the size of that. So there's, imagine a ring round the outside of that, just to locate the spring. And you've got coils. And you whack on a cheap shock absorber on the outside. And then you upgrade it afterwards. You can go to adjustable shocks. You know, keep it simple. And then I've got my big chunky adjusters. They're just a standard mini with a 1/4" UNF thread on it and a bit of 12mm threaded bar. Drilled and tapped the inner, screwed this on. So now I've got an infinitely adjustable bump stop. I said it really is as simple as that. Don't make it any harder than it needs to be. All these people talk about, oh yeah, but what's the spring rate and what's the, you know, whatever. A Mini and 1100 is not much difference. If you went for basically the strongest springs on a Mini kit that they give you, you'll be fine. Depends what you want out of it. I'm going for this just because nobody's ever put air on one of these before. So I'm putting air on. If it don't work, I'll just convert it to coils. I'm not fussed. As I said, that's the rear setup. And that's the front setup. Okay guys, hope that helps.